that you please mute your phones, and we'll ask you to unmute as you have a portion in today's program. As most of you are aware, we are a singing club, and with that note, I would like to turn it over to Bob Healy to lead us in
Great,
song.
thank you, President Jim, and you can hear me, correct?
Yes.
Good. I don't ever like to start until I'm sure. Well, I had a song picked out for today, but I'll do it next week because I realized that tomorrow is Cinco de Mayo. So we're going to do my favorite Spanish Mexican song, and you all know it. So sing along when we get to the bamba bamba. Para bailar la bamba. Para bailar la bamba, si necesite una poca de gracia. Una poca de gracia, por ti seré, por ti seré, por ti seré. Help me now. Bamba, 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 bamba. Yo no soy marinero. Yo no soy marinero, soy capitán, soy capitán, soy capitán. Bamba, 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 bamba. Hey, okay. And now for our patriotic one. Here's one we don't do that often. And you all know the words to the first verse of the Battle Hymn of Republic. Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord. He is tramping out the vintage where the grapes of wrath are stored. He has loosed his faithful lightning with his terrible swift sword. His truth is marching on. Here we go. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. His truth is marching on. President Jim.
Thanks a lot, Bob. Really appreciate it. Wonderful job. And now, if you will please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. And now Rotary's four-way test. Of the things we think, say, or do, is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? And Bob Healy.
Will it be fun?
Thanks again, Bob. Appreciate it. Our invocation today is from Bob Batcher. Bob?
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity. A couple of days ago, we had a member, as we start reopening at Prime Plus during these awkward times, make an observation to me that really hit home, and that's it's like we've been sleepwalking for the last year, and it's now time to wake up. And so when I was asked to do the invocation, in July 1, when we reopened the building, I hung this prayer on my bulletin board by my desk, and I wanted to share it with you. And I think some of you may recognize it, and if you do, feel free to mouth along. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. Living one day at a time, enjoying one moment at a time, accepting hardships as the pathway to peace, taking as he did the sinful world as it is, not as I would have it, trusting that he will make all things right if I surrender to his will, that I may be reasonably happy in this life and supremely happy with him forever in the next. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Bob. Has Joe Massey gotten on yet? I know we were trying to get him on. All right. Well, when he gets on, we'll circle back to him with a visitation report. Do we have any guests at today's meeting? Anyone know of any guests that we have? Okay, thank you. Our school of the week this week is Tanners Creek Elementary School, and our scribe is John Cameron. Thank you, John. Appreciate it. It's our first meeting of the month, so we have some celebrations. Birthdays. We have Rachel Bellis on May 9th. We have Lori Harrison on May 10th. We have Lauren Kiger on May 17th, Bill Moore on May 23rd, Jack Frost and Bill McGinnis on May 27th, Anthony Mia on May 28th, Steve Jones on May 30th, Gary Boswick on May 31st. And Bob, would you like to lead us in a rendition of Happy Birthday?
Will do. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Rotarians. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you. And we also have some Rotary anniversaries. Linwood Beckner, 35 years this month. Rick Karate, 32 years. Bill Gaw, 37 years. Chuck Spence, 30 years. Bruce Wilcox, 11 years. Ray Moses, 34 years. Bill Clendenin, 14 years. Winston Whitehurst, 19 years. Rafael Corridor, 6 years, and myself, 7 years. So congratulations to all of our Rotarians with lots of tenure. We appreciate your service above self. We also have some wedding anniversaries. George Nottingham celebrates his 22nd this year. Chick and Kathy Robeson celebrate 47 years. Linwood and Francis Beckner celebrate 43 years. Dean and Susan Rojas celebrate 55 years. Diana and Michael Starkey celebrate 28 years. Gus and Janet Stuhlreier celebrate 44 years. Shep and Gigi Miller celebrate 37 years. Tom and Martha Ambler celebrate 39 years, and Joe and Barbara New celebrate 51 years. Congratulations to all of you. All right. Who's got some good news they'd like to share with the club? Well, I have some good news. Since our meeting 2 weeks ago, we were talking a little bit during the pre-session about things that people were doing for fun. So 2 weeks ago, got on a plane, Sharon, and flew up to New York and visited with my daughter in New York City. And this past weekend, we were out in the Abingdon area my wife was going to a bridal shower for my daughter-in-law to be, and there was also a cocktail celebration kicking off what's going to be a hectic month for the Kitts family with my son and his fiancee Lacey getting married on June 5th. So many happy things there for us. Anyone else have anything they'd like to share? Pam.
Yeah, a couple of things. I am extremely happy because I just spent a couple of weeks on the road seeing family and visiting my home state of South Carolina. And also today, a very happy thing. I found out that the Tides will have their first home game in over 600 days. 2 weeks from today, I bought my tickets. You can get them online. And going to see a live baseball game again. Oh, life is restarting.
That's
So
great, Pam.
I have some good news to share on behalf of Tidewater Community College. Some of you may have seen the news yesterday with President Joe Biden and Dr. Jill Biden visiting our Portsmouth campus. And so we were all very excited about the visit, the mere fact that the President of the United States was here, and also that things went very well at the campus. That was really big for us. And also the national recognition that the college has received as a result of the visit. So it was a good visit. It's good news for us on behalf of the community.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's wonderful, Marcia. That is wonderful.
Thank you.
President Jim, I've got some happy bucks too. The reason I arrived late is I just gave my last final exam. And now I'm starting to, after I grade them, I can retire. But the one that justifies the happy bucks is on the 27th of April, actually the 26th. The Mars oxygen experiment on the Perseverance rover successfully demonstrated an invention of mine of making oxygen out of Mars' atmosphere. So I'm pretty proud of that. It only took them 42 years to get to that, but I have happy bucks.
That's awesome, Bob. That's amazing. We may have to have you give us a presentation sometime about how we are all going to be able to breathe oxygen on Mars.
Well, actually, I have kind of a travel log sometime if you'd like a program on what it might be like to visit Mars. I have lots and lots of pictures that are very interesting.
Stay tuned, sir. Stay tuned. That's great. Anyone else?
Those are really hard acts to follow. I mean, a visit from the President of the United States and turning the atmosphere of Mars into oxygen. So I can't top that. Congratulations, both of you.
Absolutely.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Can I say congratulations on the retirement, on the contribution to society, to the world, actually, to the universe. I will give some happy bugs as well on behalf of Professor Ash.
Thank you, Baranu. That's great. That is great. I do, yes, Alan.
I have a question for Bob. I hope he patented that invention.
No, our government wouldn't give us much money.
I do want to remind all of our birthday folks and wedding anniversary folks that it is customary to make a donation to our Happy Bucks in honor of your celebrations. So that would be gratefully appreciated. Anyone else with Happy Bucks? Anyone want to drop a dime on someone that should be fined?
I would, Jim, this is Joey. I'd like to offer up some happy bucks. Michael Desplaines was our guest speaker in April for the Norfolk Master Gardeners. As one would expect, he did an excellent job and was very well received by the membership. I'd like to thank him publicly for doing that and offer up some happy bucks.
Thank you, Joey. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. I want to give everyone a little bit of an update on Ann Morgan. I know that Lisa Barnes, our secretary, was actually speaking with her today, and said that she sounded pretty good. She's been making some progress. Any day now, she should actually be moving from the hospital to a rehab center to get her strength back. So she is making progress. And I was told by Lisa that if you want to give her a call, she is taking phone calls right now. So that was good to hear. Joe, do you have any? Go ahead, Joe.
I'm going to give some happy bucks. I finally got into the meeting. It only took me a half hour.
Well, we're happy to have you here, Joe.
I need to take classes, obviously. Has anybody given an update on Chris McKinnon, Hing?
No. Why don't you go ahead?
Thank you. I got a report off of Caring Bridge, the same source that we had a couple of weeks ago. They've taken her off of continuous monitoring of her vitals. They're doing it manually every 4 hours, which sounds good. She had some swelling in her left hand and right knee that seemed to be improving. And even though she's in a coma, the physical therapist got her into a chair yesterday. I'm not sure how you do that, but she's also opening her left eye a couple of minutes at a time, and there's movement on her left side, her hands and toes. They have identified a rehab facility that they are going to send her to. It's called MOSS, M-O-S-S, and they may actually have her in a bed there by the end of this week. They say that the average stay there is about 6 weeks. So after that, she would be in need, at least for the foreseeable future, for 24/7 care after she goes home. But things seem to be at least stable, if not slightly improving.
Well, that's great news, Joe. Thank you for sharing it with us. Thanks for the update. Anyone else have any happy books or news to share with the club? All right, well then we'll move right along. I know in my president's letter, I had mentioned that we would be inducting Deborah Davis. Sigger, who is her sponsor, was not able to make this meeting, so Deborah graciously agreed to be inducted next week. So that was not forgotten. It was just overcome a little bit by events. We do have a vote to take. Also included in the president's message was our newest application for membership, and it's from Lauren Labonte, and she did receive approval. Her nomination was approved by the board, and I'm going to put up a poll, and if you would all just take a moment and approve or disapprove Lauren's membership. I don't know Lauren personally, but one of the things that I do know about her is she was a former member who left when business reasons moved her, and now she's back in the area and wanted to rejoin our club. So if I'm launching a poll, and if you could just go ahead and give us your answer, that would be great. We'll just give it a couple more minutes, or not, a couple more seconds, sorry. Okay, well, Lauren was overwhelmingly approved, so thank you very much, and I will let her know the results, and we look forward to now inducting not just one person, but two people very shortly. Moving right along, we have a new Paul Harris Fellow amongst us. Want to recognize Brian McGuire and congratulate you, Brian, on becoming our newest Paul Harris Fellow. you should have received your new PIN and your certificate. So congratulations, and thanks for putting service above self.
Thanks, Jim. I received that.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Have a couple of community service projects coming up in May. Both of them are on the club website where you can sign up, or you can let Walt Sobek know, and he can help get you signed up. On May 12th, we're going to be returning to the Basilica of St. Mary's to do food distribution. And on May 25th, we are once again going to be engaged with the Food Bank of Southeastern Virginia on Tidewater Drive. So I encourage you to, once again, put service above self and help out in those worthy endeavors. Also wanted to thank all the folks who showed up this past Saturday. For those of you who prefer Saturday events, we had one, and it was cleaning up, basically a trash cleanup along East Princess Anne Road. So thank you very much, all of those who participated. Also wanted to let you know, historically, one of our more popular service projects has been Clean the Bay Day. And I just want to ask you all to save the date. Clean the Bay Day is going to be June 5th, and we will be getting a little bit more information in the next few days about what area we will be assigned. So again, that has traditionally been an event that lots of folks have been supporting. Let's move right along. Our Rotarian of the day today is, and I'm standing in for our program chair. Lori Harrison is traveling. So our Rotarian of the day today is Michael Desplaines. He's been a Rotarian since 2014. His favorite part of being a Rotarian is having lunch with folks and laughing during meetings. Fun fact is that English is his second language, as he grew up speaking French until kindergarten. So Michael, I'm going to turn it over to you to introduce our guest speaker for today.
Well, bonjour and merci, Président Jim Keats. I would like to introduce our speaker today, and I will use my adopted language of English. So Clay Dills is the owner and design principals of Dills Architects. He is a LEED accredited professional and a registered educational facility planner. Clay has served on the local American Association AIA board, which is the umbrella organization for all architects. He's a mentor for emerging leaders in their architecture program, and he's taught design student at Hampton University. After attending Virginia Tech and Cooper Union in New York, he came to work for his now retired father, who founded the firm over 40 years ago. Over the past 2 decades of practice, Clay and their studio have emerged as a leading voice for environmental and sustainable building and site design. They work on K-12 schools and higher education projects, civic facilities, cultural and arts, transportation, as well as many historic preservation and residential projects. The firm has a strong ethos and mission of responsible stewardship, and this is a shared mission with the majority of their clients to better reconcile our built environment with evolving values of social and environmental equity. Some fun facts about Clay. Clay is, as we mentioned, the son of an architect. He's also the son of a horticulturalist and grandson to a landscape painter. Despite this, he desperately tried to resist architecture and design, but he finally caved in after dropping out of college twice. Sally Hartman, by the way, who knows Clay well because she got him a scholarship years ago, says that she thinks Clay developed his love for architecture and design after starting his own t-shirt business in college. So I would love to see some of those college t-shirt designs. Some of his earliest memories are from the Norfolk Botanical Garden with his grandmother, who was the landscape painter. Clay loves Sally Hartman, and she may be the reason for his joining our club. And he also may give another talk about Sally. He surfs regularly. He always wears black, but he's always in a sunny mood. My architect, my colleague, my friend, and my fellow Rotarian, Clay Dills.
Thank you, Michael. I can't believe Sally's not here. I don't think she is. I put that on there just to embarrass her. What did I say? Clay loves Sally or something like that. Yeah. Well, thank you. So I have a presentation. I'm going to share my screen. Can I do that, Jim?
Yeah, you sure can.
So I'll share it. I'm going to stop my video first. Let's see. Can everyone see that?
Yes.
Great. So as Michael said, we've been working with them at the Norfolk Botanical Garden for over a year and a half now. And we're going to talk about what they call, and we call now too, the Garden of Tomorrow, which is essentially a comprehensive project across a large part of the garden, with new buildings, new site infrastructure, and really helping propel them forward as they look to the future. I will say, not to embarrass Michael and team, but architects can't do this on their own. So we count on great clients and great partners, and they have certainly been one. There's something really special happening at the garden, and it has been for a few years now. And Michael and his team, he has an incredible team over there, but Michael and his leadership team especially really have a lot to do with that. If you take a look at their mission over there, you look at what they're doing and how they embrace that mission in almost everything they do, everything they talk about to us. You realize quickly that this is a national level cultural institution. This is a local cultural institution to us, but one that is working at a national level that is up there with every other one you can think of. So, and this is their mission statement. So, immerse visitors in beauty, lead through environmental action, and inspire through education and connection to nature. So, as architects and someone who's hired over there to work for them to push this forward, we try to embrace that same mission. You heard in our bio about our studio of what we do. When we have the opportunity to work with a client of that level with a similar mission and that sort of forward progressive thinking, it's a great opportunity for us. Like other national museums and institutions, botanical gardens, their goal really is to immerse visitors into the collection that they have, into the world of their collection. We sort of embrace that completely in this, and not unlike landscape painting, which you'll see this is Thomas Cole in the Hudson River Valley, where they want to transport you into Cole's wilderness, transport you somewhere else into another place, that environment, that's somewhere else. Or like Turner did, which is more picturesque on the Thames, right? So they're going to transport you somewhere else through that painting, and while you stand there with it in that world of beauty, essentially. And so we embrace that in all aspects of this project. That means that this immersion goes hand in hand with environmental education, and that a visitor can participate in the environmental action that the garden puts forward. You realize quickly, though, that a botanical garden sits in a very unique position among cultural institutions where it's not you in a painting to transport you, it's you in the actual environment itself, right? That disconnection becomes quickly an immersion and a real connection to the collection of art, right? I can smell the flower, I can engage in the humid feeling in the tropical biome, right? I get a sense and immersion of that. So they have a real unique opportunity there, and they've really pushed that bar forward. Just to locate everyone on this, in the left-hand side there is the causeway coming across the water on this master plan into the garden proper. Once you come across that causeway, one of the smaller parts that we're doing is a water education and rowing center, which is located roughly where the rowing events happen now, near what used to be called Fisherman's Gate. And then as you continue down the causeway, head around by Baker Hall, what is now the main entry for visitors. You enter what we're calling a parking garden, which is a new tree-filled garden that handles most of its stormwater and provides an extension of the garden into even the parking space. And so after that, and we'll zoom in on this in a little bit, there's an entry pavilion, a plaza, and then a large new conservatory, which has 4 main chambers. Here's an early image we did of the water education front and rowing center. You see on the back, there's an enclosure for rowing equipment for use by the public. It's a large canopy built along the shoreline there with a large boat ramp for when they do events. But it's also set up as a dog trot, which is a 2-sided building where there's a middle entry or breezeway where visitors can walk through. You'll see on the left-hand side there, and in this image as well, there's areas along there to be able to hold outdoor education, be able to bring classes, the Botanical Gardens programs. They can run educational programs for local schools or in-house, in the marshline, on the boat ramp, and actually in the water along there. You'll see that boardwalk. The boardwalk actually runs along the full shoreline from the causeway, past the rowing facility, and then down further towards the azalea garden. That's all in an effort to clean up and stabilize what's now sort of been run over by those events out there. So we're, on the one hand, we're providing an environmental education standpoint and a place to hold those, but we're also doing great repair to the environment and the shoreline all along there. Here's the blow up of the entry pavilion plaza, a canopy walk, and then the large conservatories. If you're familiar with the garden, if you park in the back of the parking lot near where the rose garden would be, it would be to the right, which is an open field right now with a large pond there. And the canal you'll see to the right, and the rose garden to the left. It's kind of bordered by those 2 features. You'll see where it says entry pavilion. What you're seeing there is a green roof over top of a trellis, a roof, and an enclosed building. This is on the bottom. There is a plaza between that and the conservatory. From the roof of the entry pavilion, there's a walkway that we call a canopy walk. And you'll see how that runs from the entry pavilion along the tram line and the rose garden on the left-hand side, and then back to the tropical biome where it actually goes inside, where you can walk around the canopies inside the tropical biome. And then finally, the conservatory. As I said earlier, there's 4 chambers to that. There's a tropical biome, a desert biome, and 2 special exhibit spaces. So the immersion for us starts in the parking garden. And this is our first view and our first image that we created for the project. And it was really about leaving your car behind, park in the parking garden, and walk into the painting, right? Walk into this picturesque setting where you can physically engage the environment, the environmental action, and participate in the education there. So what you're seeing is on the right-hand side is a glass enclosure, which is the entry pavilion, a visitor center, and a cafe space. On top, we have a roof, a green roof, you'll see running right to left, right across where it says Norfolk Botanical Garden. As it leaves the building on the right, the glass enclosure, it becomes just an open air roof. And then as it gets further to the left, it becomes a trellis. So we're trying to actually dissolve the building, essentially. We're trying to make it transparent to start with a roof, and then the building goes away. You walk into a space where a building would be, but isn't. And then as the roof continues, it further dissolves into a trellis where we grow trees and things underneath of it and around it. In the distance there, you can see the entry to the conservatory. It's really about starting programming and planning from an architectural standpoint, planning the outdoor spaces, programming those spaces, just as you would indoor spaces. You know, normally the architectural thinking is about putting together the indoor spaces and how they interact with each other. This project is very much about how does indoors and outdoors become one and the same thing, and how do we make the barrier between indoors and outdoors as thin as possible. So again, there you see on the right, the glass enclosure of the visitor center and cafe. There's a bridge across the stormwater pond that we're using actually to treat most of the stormwater from the parking lot so that it's done on site and doesn't cause runoff into the canal. And then beyond, you see the conservatory. Up above, you see people walking on that roof that leads to the canopy walkway. So I have a video here. Let's see. We have a few videos that are kind of hot off the press in this sort of in their last edit. Here's another view of that with some large openings into that space where you walk across the bridge, prepared to enter the visitor center or move on to the conservatory, or pick up the tram along the rose garden path at left under that trellis. So through that entry pavilion, that covered roof and trellis area, there's a plaza. A couple steps down as we step with the grade there to the new conservatory at back. In the distance there, you can see this canopy walk that comes from the top of the entry pavilion and goes down that row of old oaks along the tram parkway. You can actually see the tram in the background there. And we'll eventually intercept the conservatory, come inside of the tropical biome and walk around the tops of trees in there. But you can see how we've really tried to focus on outdoor space has just as much a priority as indoor space. This is a view along the tram path, sort of looking into the building and the tree trellis there. You see the desert biome in the middle there. This is the tropical biome we're coming around now. That's primarily the path that most people take when they come out there. I'm going to play it one more time. This is the path along the rose garden, but looking to the right. So we put in a stormwater feature where the stormwater feature is now. There's the pavilion, the plaza. That's the special event biome there with a little outlook across the trees. Then we have the desert biome. You can kind of see the cactus in there. And then we move to the tropical biome where this canopy walkway actually goes into the building and walks around the interior environment as well. And then inside that conservatory, is the opportunity really to, as the mission says, to inspire through education and this immersion into the environment. The conservatories, as Michael would say, are really seen as arcs where their focus is conservation. So that desert biome will be full of plants and species that may not be around too longer, that are endangered right now. This is a holding place for those, for future generations, and for the generations now to learn about how to better take care of our environment and try to preserve these things. This is along the other side of the conservatory. You're looking into the desert biome there. It's a new pathway along the canal. And there's a tropical biome at the rear. This is a view we had developed early about that high line canopy walkway in there. It really sort of parallels the tram pathway that goes along the Rose Garden path now, walks between the new conservatories and the Rose Garden, separated by the trees. So it allows the visitor to get up in that canopy space without harming the trees and see a the real lay of the land. So you'd be able to see the entry pavilion, the plaza, the conservatories, and their contents from the inside. And eventually, when you get to the end of this, from the inside as well, when you go into the tropical biome. There's a little path on here. If you get vertigo, maybe hold one eye closed. So there's a special exhibit. There's the desert biome as we pass it. And finally, the tropical biome. A few things about some really interesting products and things that we're doing with the buildings to educate and sort of better tie inside and outside and the sort of lived experience of the gardens and the institution. One is this product that's actually out of Durham, North Carolina. The company is called BioMason. They make brick pavers, which essentially are cement and sand pavers, just like any other paver you'd see, except for the fact that they're grown with bacteria like coral is grown. So there's no mining of Portland cement. There's no firing of kilns to heat them up and cook the bricks essentially. The CO2 footprint on these is 0. All we have to worry about is the travel to the site of them. And you'll see the one that they're holding there. They essentially packed sand into molds, across really large thousands and thousands of these at one time, pack it into there, and then they run a water and microbe rich nutrient solution through that sand for a little bit. It sits in there, and then over a little bit of time actually produces calcium carbonate like coral, which is actually stronger than cement, stronger than the Portland cement mix you get in concrete, around the sand mix in there, and forms this brick. Without heat, without everything, you actually grow cement into pavers. This is like an incredible product. So we're looking at it to replace concrete on site, because concrete, if you don't know, is one of the most unsustainable building products we have, and it's used everywhere. So this is a company trying to take that head on, and it's an opportunity in this project and for the garden to exhibit that and educate people about why use it and how it's actually done. You'll see on the bottom left there, that's the water with this sort of nutrient dense solution. It's actually bacteria, microbes that are put into it that grows concrete. So really, really pretty incredible, actually. We're using what are called transducers. I don't know if anyone's ever done that, but it's a small 2.5-inch disc. You'll see it in the middle there. On our visitor center, we're going to place these strategically around the glass enclosure, which is most of the public space there. Those transducers turn the glass walls essentially into speakers without having to use amplifiers. It's kind of using the building as an amplifier itself. So we like to think of it as tuning the building. So we're going to sort of tune the building to the outside by working with an artist to take marshline recordings right from the outside of it or from somewhere on the garden, and then play those recordings indoors. If you've ever heard recordings of outdoor life or a woodland or a jungle or something, right now the marsh or that stormwater feature, that water feature is right outside the glass. So we're going to sort of further decrease the distance between the inside and the outside by actually making the glass the audio element of the marsh. So you really feel that when you're on the inside and always be connected to it, further thinning that membrane between inside and outside. And then last, we're actually using daylight sensors, outdoor daylight sensors with LEDs on the inside of the buildings to be able to tune the indoor light into what the outdoor light is like. So there's ranges of better focus, better wellness for people, and that usually responds to a circadian cycle that mimics outdoor daylight and what it's doing outdoors, because the more we become disconnected from our outdoor selves and our natural way of relating to the sunrise and the sunset and that color temperature across the day, So we're using a sensor on the outside that tells the LED lights on the inside to tune to that frequency, to tune to that color temperature. You'll see some scales of color temperature on there. So through the primary portions of the day, when we there's ample light through our glass walls of the entry pavilion, we'll tune to that outdoors. Again, making the difference between indoors and outdoors very thin, but also it's a part of wellness and better living and better performance for everyone. It's a better feeling, honestly, in there, and it's done really easy with LEDs nowadays. Just very simple sensors. Last but not least, and I wish Sally was on here after her Japanese presentation last time. We're going to utilize a building cladding or a siding. It's called shosugi-ban, which is a thousands of year old Japanese technique where you char cedar. In this case, it's a forest of cedar that's been sustainably harvested and replenished. So they're from actually from Japan, San Francisco, where they replenish those forests and only harvest sustainably over there, and they have certifications for that. And then they char the wood. This has been going on for thousands of years over there. We love the fact that it has a tie-in with a Japanese aspect because, you know, the Norfolk Botanical Garden has a great history with that as well. But it's really a miracle product for buildings. Once charred, and it's actually kind of a science at this point, it becomes almost completely waterproof. It seals that exterior and hardens the exterior of the cedar. It's completely insect resistant, and it becomes flame retardant. Very, very hard and difficult to reignite once this process has happened to it. You see bottom right there, a little bit of the charring. They have special design kilns and flames for this. And there's a couple of our inspiration photos for that. So it can be used as a siding. That's a deep char on there where you see like an alligatoring effect to it, but it gives a beautiful, it's not really a black, it's has multicolor in it. And then on the right in the cafe and the visitors center, we're starting to play with the idea of, you know, the charring, but it's in cedar, which have really good tie-ins with the kitchen and the cafe and wine and all the events that could happen there. So that's it for now. I guess we're coming into the end of construction drawings at this point. So we're looking in the next months to potentially have a groundbreaking, I think, Michael, at the end of July, and then shortly thereafter get underway. Thank you.
Thank you, Clay. That was a great presentation, and you've got to be excited. Michael, I know you're excited, and I think the whole community is going to be excited about the enhancements being made to the garden. I got one really quick question, then I'll open it up to some others. What were some of the challenges, especially with some of sort of the highline areas, of making that not only ADA compliant, but also, let's just call it stroller friendly?
So one thing you don't see, and if you've been to other large botanical garden conservatory, is there's an elevator in the tropical biome. And so I would say it's safe to say there's been some threading of the needle to be able to make that work, right? So there's a large oak line of trees, oaks on one side, elevator in the conservatory, the head heights required, the accessibility required, the strollers that are all over the garden all the time. Most of that is helped by the elevator that you didn't see much of in there, and that's kind of on purpose. But once you get to that height, you're very level. And you're able to move around fairly freely up there.
Who else has some questions for Clay?
Actually, this is a question from Michael. Clay, outstanding presentation. I'm so impressed. I can't wait to see the groundbreaking. It's just beautiful. Michael, can I lock in my my membership now so that I don't see the increases after a year? That's incredible.
All memberships are good for 12 months from date of purchase.
Okay.
We don't anticipate the new buildings coming online until 2023. So you're probably safe until then.
I think Joe Massey had a question.
Yeah, this is probably for Michael, but what's the future for the existing buildings?
So everything stays, nothing changes. You know, these are in enhancements to, not any replacement of. The only thing that does go away is the toll booth. So once we move to a walk-in ticketing system, like basically every other museum and botanical garden in the world does, we will then eliminate the toll booth. So that does go away. There's some talk about what the existing cafe building and tropical display house, those two will have to come down at some point. But their footprint is so small that probably just the gardens around there will absorb their spaces.
Another quick question on the boathouse, which is also beautiful. Can you bring a kayak in, or do you have to launch it over at Camellia Gardens launch and come in?
We're going to do our own in-house kayaking program. So what we'll do is you can rent one of ours or be a part of our program. But what we won't be, because we just don't have the parking for it, is a public boat launch.
That makes sense.
So the city already has that on the end of Hewitt, but we will do our own in-house kayaking here.
Outstanding.
I have a comment for Clay. First of all, fantastic presentation. I'm really fascinated by the biomason pavers. That's just, if that can work, that I've got to learn more about that. I do have a question, but this may be more directed at Michael. I'm sort of interested in what plants are envisioned for the rooftop that you've incorporated there.
So I think one of the neat things about the roof garden is that a lot of it will be edibles. So you'll be walking through a garden on a roof that will be growing food for the bistro that you'll eat at underneath. I mean, that's pretty spectacular in itself. As far as plants for the conservatories, you know, we really see them as Noah's Ark. Conservatory means conservation, a place to save things. So of the 5 most threatened species on Earth right now, 3 are plants: cycads, cactus, and conifers. So cycads and cactus will really get a jump start in our collection here with the advent of those conservatory biomes. You know, plants that we've never been able to collect. And we're partnering with botanical gardens nationwide and around the world. So Fairchild in Montgomery in Florida, the National Tropical Botanical Garden on Kauai, Desert Botanical Garden in Scottsdale, Lotus Land and Santa Barbara Botanic Garden in California. Because, you know, if a wildfire goes through Santa Barbara and destroys their collection, we could have something here that then they could replant there. So, you know, I say to an internal audience, and I consider you folks internal because you're Rotarians with me, you know, in some cases, we've almost reached the tipping point. It's almost too late. So I feel like Noah's Ark, we need to start saving the species now. We're still going to work to prevent the worst effects of climate change. But until then, we need to start saving things just in case. So that's what these Noah's Arks will do, is help us save them.
That's why the education piece is so important.
Other questions for Clay?
I'm surprised nobody asked how much. No one asked how much money.
I was afraid to go there.
So I will tell you that fundraising has been incredibly successful, and we've increased the budget as the project scope had changed. Initially, 3 years back, the consultant said we could probably raise $5 to $6 million, and we pushed for a $7 million campaign that would have had a very, very small greenhouse with it. Fundraising was successful, and the project grew bigger and bigger. We then brought on Clay, and their ideas were just spectacular. We've now increased the budget to nearly $20 million, and we've pretty much raised all of that money. So we'll still raise more money because I'll need to buy plants for the conservatory. We're looking at $2 million just for that. But in total, in addition to the admin building, NATO Tower, and Cobblestone Bridge that are also part of the campaign, we're looking at $30 million in total, of which pretty much we're almost there.
Clay and Michael, any government funding?
The City of Norfolk put in $4 million to kick off the renovations piece. The garden matched that. Well, it was almost a 2-to-1 match. We did $3 million of our own cash reserves. And that $7 million is the fund that did the admin building, just finished NATO Tower, and will start Cobblestone Bridge this month. So we did get some local government money, no federal money.
Any other questions? All right, well, Clay, thank you very much. It was a great presentation, and again, I know that I know the whole community is waiting for the groundbreaking, and especially waiting to see see the whole project when it's completed. So
yeah, if you haven't been out there, go out there. It's happening.
Yes, that's awesome. As I'm sure you're aware, our club is very committed to childhood literacy, and to commemorate your presentation today, the club will be donating a book in your honor to Tanners Creek Elementary School. So, once we're able to get them all in there, if you're visiting Tanners Creek, feel free to stop in their library and take a look at your book. Okay, our next meeting will be next Tuesday, May 11th, and our speaker will be Rich Salon from the district, and he is going to be talking about, I believe, the Rotary Works program. So we look forward to seeing you all there. Thank you once again, Clay, for joining us and giving us a great presentation. I ask you all to once again take a look at the club website for some of the upcoming service projects. So thank you all. It was great to see you, and we are adjourned.